I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome you all to the Raymore City Council's special meeting for Tuesday, November the 13th. Could I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Berenson.
Present.
Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Circo.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Kellogg.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scoot by you.
Next item on our agenda tonight is awards and presentations. And tonight we have a large group in the audience that's representing the track teams of both girls and boys for Ray Peck High School. And in a conversation that I had with Councilman Jay Holman, he explained to me how successful both teams have been in recent years. And so we got our heads together and put together a proclamation to recognize those efforts. And I appreciate you all being here tonight to be with us. And if I could ask the two coaches, Coach Johnson and Coach Swift, to join me here at the podium, I'd appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the Raymore Peculiar School District boys and girls cross country teams compete in Class 4, which is the largest class in the state of Missouri, and whereas for 2 years in a row both teams placed well enough at the district meet and sectionals to qualify for state competition, and whereas special recognition and commendation is due to the members of both teams and their coaches for their commitment, discipline, and accomplishments, and whereas their efforts have earned them such high regard outside of the state that they have been invited to compete in a nationally sponsored event, and I understand you guys did 6th and 12th out of how many teams?
6 states.
6 states. A lot of runners, 4,000 runners, right? A lot of runners. And whereas these athletes have demonstrated outstanding dedication and teamwork, which reflects great credit to themselves, the school district, and our community, now therefore I, Christopher Turnbow, Mayor of the City of Raymore, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the 13th day of November 2018 as Raymore Peculiar High School Boys and Girls Cross Country Teams Recognition Day in the City of Raymore, Missouri, to recognize and express our congratulations to these teams for their accomplishments and sportsmanship. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Raymore to be affixed this 13th day of November 2018. Coach Johnson, congratulations. Would you guys like to say something? Would you guys like to say something? Anything?
Posing for the picture right now. No, thank you very much. Our kids are awesome. Our community is awesome. We get tons of support from our families, from our administration, from our community all around. I know people see us running all over this city, and we're always greeted no matter where we go. So we do appreciate all the support that we get from both communities, Raymore and Peculiar.
Well, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Now we get into the really boring stuff, so if you guys don't want to stick around, we'll totally understand. But if you want to stick around too, you know, bye-bye. That's what I thought.
Some of these are here for American government. I wouldn't dismiss them yet.
Oh yeah, the American government ones have to stay. Yeah, that's right.
Somebody stay. That didn't take long over that case.
Otherwise, they would have had to go.
So we'll move along here to personal appearances, of which there are none, and so then we'll move into staff reports. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, sir. We'll just have a couple of staff reports in this abbreviated agenda this evening. I would ask that Chief of Police Jan Zimmerman make a report for police emergency management.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Since it's a short meeting, I figured maybe a 35-minute presentation.
Sure,
So.
go right ahead. This is short? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. We decided that it might be a good time to update the council on the drone program and what we've been doing since we made that original presentation to you all about the drones. And so I would ask Mr. Cataret, who's my technical backup here, to hijack your computers here briefly. I feel like I should explain Raptor because, you know, every program has to have a cool name. So our drone team came up with the name Raptor for our drone program, which is the Raymore Aerial Patrol Traffic Observation and Rescue Team. So, yeah, Jim, if you want to go ahead. What you're going to be seeing here is just some video that has been shot by the drone team. We recently conducted a night flight training testing both the FLIR, which is the forward-looking infrared, and the regular cameras. So what you're seeing here is flying over City Hall, and you're going to see some really amazing capability of the camera as they focus in on the water tower in Belton from above City Hall here briefly. You can actually read Live the Dream, Tate Stevens on the water tower from our camera. Two new members of the PD were added to the team, both from patrol and both with drone experience. Sergeant Joe German and Master Police Officer Josh Giacconi were added to the team, and as I said, they both have some flight experience, and so they were able to deploy that night for the night flight training that we were doing. And they will be attending drone training for the Part 107 FAA certification that is required by Dart Drone this coming Saturday and Sunday. And as I mentioned, that is required, obviously, of all of our drone pilots. And that training will be conducted up by the Kansas Speedway. I'm happy to say that we've had some recent opportunities to deploy the drone. Let me mention here, since I talked about the FLIR, the thermal camera that you see here, that is actually Lieutenant Abdelgawad sneaking out amongst the trees there, and obviously you can see him very plainly. And then, as we showed you before, when we did the demonstration of the drone before, that we are able to do some, different colors for the heat signatures here as well. I had no idea he was so talented, doing one-arm jumping jacks with his cell phone in his hand. But you can see that we can do some differentiation in the colors there to allow us to see subjects better. As they are, perhaps hiding in, a brushy area or wooded area. As I mentioned, recent call-outs for us by the Belton Police Department looking for a missing elderly man with dementia. And then we filmed the placing of the dock at Hawkridge Park. On Election Day, and what you're seeing here, we decided to deploy the drone because of the massive amount of voters that we had at both of our election facilities, both Centerview and the RAC. We deployed the drone around between 10 and 10:30 in the morning at both locations so that we could observe the traffic patterns there. And then after we did so, the team met with Mr. Fearborn, the core team, the PD, Mr. Crass, and Mr. Mustine, to review the video, and then we were able to reconfigure our traffic pattern for the afternoon rush. And do some things differently with the traffic since we had that aerial observation. So the rush of voters that we had later in the afternoon, we were able to take this view of Centerview and then place some barricades, do some different things with our traffic pattern, because we noticed that obviously with all of the vehicles, parking on both sides of the street, it was very difficult for people to get through. So an application that, I think we realized that we had, but we were able to use on Election Day, which was very beneficial to us as well. So And of course, those test flights that we do allow us to tighten up and tweak our pre- and post-flight checklist to make sure that, we're doing everything with the drone that we need to do, especially with our 2 new team members. So that's just kind of a brief overview of what we're doing so far, and we're having some opportunities to get it up in the air, and we're being requested by other agencies, which we anticipated we would, and we're very pleased with that as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Guess not. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Great information. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I wondered what I saw them deploy it out back here. I wondered what the pictures looked like, so thank you for sharing tonight.
Absolutely.
Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, Chief. Next week, of course, the council has a work session. 2 items currently on the agenda for the work session. We will be calling Judge Nigro in and have confirmed with him prior to renewing his contract in December or on the last read of November and the first read of December. We will also have KU School of Public Management here to give you the initial and draft results of the community conversation and what they heard there, which will help us to continue to update and tweak and make recommendation to the council on the strategic plan. And that concludes staff reports.
Thank you. Any questions of staff at this time? Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda. Do we have a consent agenda? We really don't have a consent agenda. Okay.
There are
so
no items for consent.
moving right along, we'll move over to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3396 by title only?
Second reading of Bill 3396 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from R3A Multiple Family Residential District to R3B Apartment Community Residential District, a 3.6-acre tract of land known as Parcel 5 of the amended Eagle Glen Preliminary Plat, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 3396?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3396, reclassification of zoning of the lofts at Fox Ridge.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3396. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill, this is a resolution for the lofts at Fox Ridge preliminary plat. Could you please read Resolution 1862 by title only?
The reading of Resolution 1862 by title only, an ordinance of the city of, or a resolution of the Raymore City Council approving the lofts at Fox Ridge preliminary plat located in the northeast quarter of Section 17, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, all in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. As you see in the notes, it was continued from the October 22nd meeting, and I would ask for a motion to dispose of Resolution 18-62.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 18-62, the lofts at Fox Ridge preliminary plat.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve Resolution 1862. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3401 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3401 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the final plat for the lofts at Fox Ridge, a subdivision located in the northeast quarter of Section 17, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 3401?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3401, the lofts at Fox Ridge final plat.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3401. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3399 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3399 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving a plan for an industrial development project and authorizing the City of Raymore, Missouri to issue taxable industrial development revenue bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $570,000, and to enter into certain documents in connection therewith.
Any additional staff report? The public hearing is still open on this item, so I wanted to remind folks that the public hearing is still open. And do you have any input at this time, Mr. Fearborn?
There is no additional staff report, sir.
Therefore, I will ask if there's anyone in the audience that would care to address the council at this time regarding this issue. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and ask for a motion to dispose of Bill 3399.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3399, the lofts at Fox Ridge, Chapter 100 bond.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3399. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3402 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3402 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an amended employment agreement with Jim Fearborn for the services of city manager, authorizing approval of this ordinance and execution of the contract for city manager.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of this item?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Bill 3402, approval of amended employment agreement of our city manager.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3402. Any further discussion? Ms. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say I'm really excited to invite Jim back to work with us for at least another year. I just have to publicly share, I don't think we could find a better person for this job.
I'd second that. I don't get to do that very often. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to new business. First item under new business is liquor license application for Freedom Stop. I would ask for a staff report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask the Deputy City Clerk to make the staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Lana Harrell with Licensing Consulting is the managing officer for Newman LLC, doing business as Freedom Stop, located at 503 East Walnut. She's filed an application for the remaining portion of the 2018 through 2019 liquor license year. The applicant has submitted the necessary application and supporting documents as required by City Code. If approved by the City Council, further approval to obtain a license from the City of Raymore is subject to state licensing. The applicant is unable to attend this evening due to a medical emergency. However, the business owner, Mr. Hussein, is in attendance should council have any questions. In accordance with City Code Section 600.090 subsection C, any person providing testimony pertaining to the liquor license application will be sworn to tell the truth, and such testimony will be entered into the record.
Thank you. I will go ahead and open the public hearing at this time and ask that anyone that wishes to address the council pertaining this application, please step forward. Again, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and I would invite the applicant, should they wish to step forward. Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. And is there any additional information or any additional questions for City Clerk? Hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of this item?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the liquor license application for Newman LLC, doing business as Freedom Stop.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license application for Freedom Stop. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Our next item is another liquor license application. This one is by Boulevard Bar and Barbecue. I would ask for a staff report at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask the Deputy City Clerk, I keep doing that this evening. I would ask the Deputy City Clerk to make a staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Oni Chambers, the owner of Boulevard Bar and Barbecue, located at 1246 through 42 West Foxwood Drive, has filed an application for the remaining portion of the 2018 through 2019 liquor license year. The applicant has submitted the necessary application and supporting documents as required by city code. If approved by the city council, further approval to obtain a license from the city of Raymore is subject to state licensing. Mr. Chambers is in attendance should council have any questions. In accordance with City Code Section 600.090 subsection C, any person providing testimony pertaining to the liquor license application will be sworn to tell the truth by the city clerk, and such testimony will be entered into the record.
Thank you. So I will open a public hearing at this time, and if anyone wishes to address the council regarding this application, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and then would include the applicant should they wish to step forward at this time. Just state your name and address for the record. Please step forward. Yeah, and I think you'll have to be sworn in, won't he? Oh, the city clerk. Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Okay, thank you. And now your name and address, sir.
Oni Chambers, 1242 West Foxwood Drive,
Okay.
Raymore, Missouri.
Thank you.
I was just saying I'm honored to bring good barbecue to Raymore, and that's about it.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to address the council? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the liquor license application for Boulevard Bar and BBQ.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the liquor license for Boulevard Bar and Barbecue. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. That ends our items for this evening's. You were right, Chief. It was going to be short. I thought it would be longer than that, you know? So we're now to the part for public comment. This opens it up to anyone from the public to come before us and discuss any item of interest. If you wish to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one, we'll move on to Mayor Council communication. I'll start right here on my left. Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess touch base with Mr. Chambers. We thank you for bringing another business into our community. New restaurant, the barbecue place there. When do you open that? Okay, December 1st. We'll be looking for it. We thank you again. I mean, the city will grow with the businesses. We want more business, more competition for everybody. Business owners like that, I know. I was a business owner. And again, we thank you very much for that. Again, thank our track team and the coaches. That was a phenomenal feat. 6 states, 4,000 runners to come in the place they come in the last few years. So that was phenomenal for RAPAC, and that was really appreciated. I'm glad the kids were here, and we got to give them that proclamation. Otherwise, I think it's a short night. And the chief, the Raptor, I love the name. It's great. You know, I'm a big advocate for that thing. I think it's going to do great for us in the future and going to really maintain ourselves and the police to do some great things when needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think all I have this week is I wanted to apologize to my sons. They won't hear this because they're over in Centerview, but my son wanted to know, well, why couldn't you be at my swim banquet? So I have to apologize to Will and Wes that I'm not there, but if I move the curtain, I'm going to be able to see them through the window. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, I think the crews did a nice job with the snow yesterday. I think the district was smart in leaving the kids in the school until they had a chance to clean those roads. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to thank the Boulevard Bar and Barbecue for bringing in some variety. Look forward to having an opportunity to try you out and see what your cuisine is all about. And also to Freedom Stop as well for continuing on over there. So welcome to both of you for the business in the area. And congratulations to RAPAC Boys and Girls Cross Country Club. Our daughter tried out senior year. Try it out, I would say, but she didn't want to do it anymore. So her sweat glands don't work. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yes, to the drone program, that's outstanding to see that being deployed, and the video was outstanding to see from election day and the clarity, even at the night and all the different angles, to really get an opportunity to see what that it has the potential to do, and as Mr. Circle said, the opportunities for supporting not only just Raymore but the area. So that's outstanding use for that particular piece of equipment. And I believe that's it for tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to keep it brief, trying to keep this meeting under 30 minutes on my part. I don't have much to say. I do want to take a moment, though, and say congratulations to our city manager, Jim Feuerborn, and thank him personally for all of his service and work that he's done for us over the years since he's been city manager, and even before when he was our assistant city manager. I have said, and it was said tonight by one of my colleagues, Sonia Abdelgawad, I finally got it. I finally got it. She's absolutely right. Jim is one of the best in the area, and I've been saying this for years, and I've spoken with the mayor about this recently, that I think we're when we say that, and no disrespect, but I'm going to say this, that when we say that, or when I say that, I have to catch myself, because I honestly feel that he's not only one of the best in the area, I think he's the best in the state. And we are very, very lucky and blessed to have him. Again, thank you, Jim. Congratulations, and look forward to working with you in the very near future immediately. So that's all I got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will also echo the comments from across the room here. Congratulations, Jim. Good to have you back for another year here. The snow crews did do an outstanding job. Mr. Feuerborn and I talked about that just briefly, and the issue I had was with another city sliding into our city. It wasn't Raymore, but our crews did a fantastic job, so great job, guys. Thank you for all the attendance we had tonight from the cross-country club. That was great to see this place filled up. They did a good job of showing up tonight. And lastly, we had an officer that was recognized recently, Officer Molly Bracken, and I'm going to read this off here, was honored as the Raymore Crisis Intervention Officer of the Year at the Mid-America Crisis Intervention Council. Is that right, Chief?
Yes, sir. And the thing that's really unique about Officer Bracken is that before she came to Raymore, she was recognized as the Sugar Creek CIT Officer of the Year. So she's very, very capable in that area.
Just another talented person on our police department, so
yes,
glad
sir.
to hear that. And lastly, ma'am, if I could ask, who came up with the acronym RAPTOR?
Captain Roger Mayberry.
He did a fantastic job, so thank you, that's all.
He pulled out the Air Force nickname book and played, yeah, that's what he did. Ms. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start by welcoming our 2 new business owners that are in the crowd that we approved those liquor licenses today. Welcome to Raymore. We love welcoming new businesses into town, or new owners to existing businesses. That's important to our community. Congrats to the cross-country team. As people said, it's great to have a strong team of students representing our communities across the state, apparently, and doing quite well. I want to take a minute also and just mention, we have up here at each of our seats a letter from Dr. Monses about the apartments and the tax incentive that we approved this evening. And I just want to take a minute to say that I appreciate him taking the time to write this letter to us and express his concerns, but also to reassure everyone in the community that that's something that we have considered throughout this whole process. We're always looking at inviting new businesses, new housing opportunities into the community, but we also want to look at what are going to be the big picture, kind of those trickle-down effects of some of the incentives that we do offer to encourage businesses and residential developments to come to town. So thanks, Dr. Monses, for sharing your opinion, and just to reassure everyone that we are always looking at that and considering the big picture view as we look at all the different opportunities we have for Raymore. And then finally, I can't believe Mr. Berenson didn't say it, but tomorrow night, tomorrow night is, thanks for saving it for me. I appreciate it. We're having our Ward 4 Town Hall meeting tomorrow night at Centerview, which is the building right behind City Hall here. We'll start about 6:30. So we definitely welcome Ward 4 citizens to come and join us, bring your questions, or just come to get information. And of course, even if you don't live in Ward 4, you're welcome. We have lots of interesting things to share that are happening in Raymore, and as I said, we'll be open to answer questions and have further discussion about topics you bring as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't repeat everything that my colleagues have said up here, but I totally agree with everything that's said tonight. And nice segue on your town hall meeting, because I wanted to thank the citizens of Ward 3 that came out to our Ward 3 town hall meeting last week. We had a nice turnout. We had some fantastic questions, great feedback. I want to thank Mike Hickey for putting it together, the mayor, Mr. Fairborn, Chief, for attending. They had some questions that I couldn't answer, so it was nice to have some folks there that could help me answer those. You know, we have a lot of exciting things going on in Raymore, and it was a great honor to share it with them. But I want to thank this group, the citizens of Raymore, and I want to thank this group up here, this body, and our city staff, because without their leadership and hard work, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have had anything to talk about, and you guys make this city work, and so I want to really thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. I want to start off by thanking you for recognizing the cross-country teams. I don't know if everybody realizes or not, but the proclamation is a mayoral prerogative, and the mayor chose to do that. The cross-country teams have had a long, storied history here at Ray Peck of great success. Both teams have attended state or qualified for state for the last 2 years in a row, and as the mayor mentioned, they went to the Nike National Cross Country High School Championships this past weekend in Terre Haute, Indiana. So coaches have built a fantastic program, and that is a sport where there is no leaning on the quarterback or the shortstop. Every individual guts it out for both the individual performance and the team performance, and it was, I thought, kind of evidenced by the fact that we had such a large turnout here that those kids are as committed to that sport as they are. There's an old phrase that Mr. Fairborn reminded me of the other day that they will occasionally tell people, our sport is your sport's punishment. So thank you for recognizing them. Second thing I want to say, thank you to my colleague, Mr. Barber, and to staff for carrying on in my absence. I was not able to make the Ward 4 Town Hall meeting last week. I was out in the 20-degree cold for about 13 hours doing firearms training. I would have much rather been here, but it was kind of a requirement of my job. So thank you for covering in my absence. I would much rather have been here, and I will do my best to make the next one. And then the last thing that I have is several of the members of the council, including the mayor and staff, were at the Veterans Day celebration that we had at Centerview, and I was there as well. I thought it was really nice. I found it a little bit odd that a retired admiral from the Navy was the key speaker, and he was invited by a retired captain from the Navy, but all of his stories were about basically the Army and about infantry, talked about trench warfare. Yeah. So while we take an opportunity on Veterans Day to thank our veterans and for them for their service, we try and talk a little bit about our history, maybe bring up a little piece of our history. We don't get a whole lot about the Navy, so I brought something tonight that I wanted to read in honor of the Navy and in honor of Captain Turnbow. If you have not served in the military, just as if you have not been a police officer, most of what you think that evolves from is from what you see on television or in a movie. And a lot of times, as the chief would tell you, that's not how it is in real life. But there actually is a small piece of cinematic history that talks about a real life event. And I'm going to read that dialogue right now in honor of the mayor. Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, Chief. We were coming back from the island of Tinian to late. We just delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. Vessel went down in 12 minutes. Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger shark, 13-footer. You know how you know that in the water, Chief? You can tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. Now, what we didn't know was that our bomb mission was so secret, no distress signal had been sent. They didn't even list us overdue for a week. Very first light, Chief, sharks come cruising. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. Sort of like you see in the calendars, you know, the old infantry squares and the old calendars like the Battle of Waterloo. And the idea was a shark come to the nearest man, and that man, he starts pounding and hollering, and sometimes that sharks go away, and sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark looks right at you, right into your eyes. And the thing about a shark is he's got lifeless eyes, Chief, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. And when he comes at you, he doesn't even seem to be living till he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and despite your pounding and your hollering, those sharks come in and they rip you to pieces. You know that by the end of that first dawn, Chief, we lost about 100 men. I don't know how many sharks there were, maybe 1,000. I do know how many men. They averaged 6 an hour. Thursday morning, Chief, I bumped into a friend of mine, Herbie Robinson from Cleveland, a baseball player, bosun's mate. I thought he was asleep. I reached over to wake him up. He bobbed up and down in the water. He was kind of like a top, upended. Well, he'd been bitten in half below the waist. At noon on the 5th day, a Lockheed Ventura swinging low, and he spotted us, a young pilot, a pilot a lot younger than Mr. Hooper here. Anyway, he spotted us, and a few hours later, a big old fat PBY come down and started picking us up. You know, that was the time I was most frightened, Chief, waiting for my turn. I'll never put on a life jacket again. So 1,100 men went into the water. 316 men come out. The sharks took the rest. June 29th, 1945. Anyway, we delivered the bomb. That is a fictional account of the true events of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis in June of 1945. For you and your service, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the comments that Ms. Abdelgawad said about Dr. Mansas. I know that the school district has to protect their ability to provide services to the kids, and that when we give incentives to residential projects, it is difficult for them to sit idly by and wonder how many kids are we going to have to serve out of that district with fewer dollars than we would have had those incentives not been in place. And so we do take that very seriously, and we've talked about it infinitum, not only with the investors in our community, but also amongst ourselves. And while we reached a happy medium there, we certainly didn't give it up entirely. And so we do take that very seriously, not only for the school district, but for our fire protection district as well. And we do believe that we're acting responsibly in that area. The other thing I want to say is, Mr. Fearborn, welcome back. You have made my 2.5 years as mayor about as easy as it could possibly be. I still feel like I'm on my honeymoon, and here I've been here almost the end of my first term, hopefully just my first term. And I appreciate everything that you do for this city, and I like it that we as a team recognize what you do for the city as well. I'd like to say again to the track teams, congratulations, and thank you, Jay, for bringing that to my attention. I don't follow high school athletics anymore without a kid there, so I don't get an opportunity to see the kinds of accomplishments that our school district does have in the area of sports, and that is pretty phenomenal for them to be able to qualify for state finals 2 years in a row. It's pretty amazing. And then I want to thank the Parks Department for putting on the Veterans Day celebration. While Admiral Thompson was there at my invite, it was them that put the entire program together, and I really do appreciate their efforts in that. We had some veterans there that we were able to recognize as well, and Admiral Thompson, I don't know if you didn't get a chance to be there, Admiral Thompson has had a authentic World War I Admiral uniform replicated, and he wore that day, and then began to tell us some of his things that, because he also sits on a World War I memorial board of directors, he was able to tell us some of the things that we might not know about that particular war, and I won't get into those, but if you want to hear some of his little, as he called them, schnippets instead of snippets, I'd be happy to share those with you. They were pretty interesting. And then thank you to Melissa Lucas, the principal over at Creekmore Elementary. Yesterday, I was privileged to be the honoree as their veteran and in a room full of other heroes. It was a pretty awesome event. The kids were phenomenal with their programs that they put on, the songs that they sang. My wife, she says, I don't know if I made a mistake or I was glad I was there, because she said I cried the whole time. It was about an hour-long event, and of course, you know Vicki, she's pretty patriotic, so she sat there in tears most of the time, but it was a nice event, and I do appreciate Mrs. Lucas choosing me as the honoree that day. Thanks, Chief, for the drone program update. I was just asking Mr. Fearborn about it. I'm not sure that prompted it, but it was pretty interesting. I appreciate that. Got a lot coming up in the next few months, and I think I'll conclude there. Do we have any reason to go to executive session, sir?
No, sir, but if you would indulge me, I'd like to tag on to something that you just now said.
Absolutely.
I can't remember now how many of the council members were there, but for the sake of the public, the best rendition of the national anthem I have ever heard done by those students from that school.
It was phenomenal.
It was absolutely, it almost brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Just wanted to add that.
I know. I wished we'd recorded it. It was phenomenal.
And we have no reason to go into executive sessions.
We do?
No.
We'd have no reason. Well, good. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn then?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.